How has the war in Ukraine affected Norway-Russia relations? Hello and welcome to TEPSA Explainers. My name is Pernille Riker and I'm a research professor at the Norwegian Institute of International Affairs.
And my name is Jakub Godzimirski, also a research professor at the same institute.
There is one main message that we would like you to take with you after this video. And that is that the Russian invasion of Ukraine on February 24th this year has radically changed the relations between West and Russia, and that the core of the Western response has become a policy of sanctions, defense and deterrence. This means that the balancing act between deterrence, reassurance and engagement that has been defining for Norway-Russia relation is now under pressure, and difficult, if not impossible, to pursue in the current context. Still, this does not mean that this balancing act should not be an ideal and something that both Norway and the West hopefully will be able to return to one day in its relations to Russia. Norway's policy towards Russia has until recently been guided by this balancing act, especially in the north. And this approach has been determined by four structural factors. First, the geographical proximity and a long common border. The asymmetry of the relationship with regard to size and military power. Third, the perception of Russia as a frenemy, a regional partner, but also a threat. And fourth, the fact that both countries are energy producers and exporters. While geography and size are undeniable facts, the other two factors may change. And recently, the perception of Russia has changed dramatically due to the Russian unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. While a balanced approach is still an ideal for most Norwegian policymakers, this policy has now become difficult or impossible to pursue. And we have seen a shift towards increased deterrence. The question is if this is a lasting change or if we will see a return to a more balanced relationship.
Let me explain the main lines in the traditional Norwegian policy towards Russia very briefly. For Norway, it has always been important to conduct a balanced policy towards its neighbor to the east in order to lower the level of strategic tensions. Norway is the only country in Europe that has never been at war with Russia, although we are neighbors, and has also pushed a balanced policy towards its neighbor to the east. However, having in mind the asymmetry of strategic potentials and the fact that Russia has traditionally used military instruments in its neighborhood, Norway also needed to strengthen its deterrence potential. This was also one of the decisive factors when Norway decided to join NATO in 1949. However, the change in Russian policy under Putin's second term, especially the issue of annexation of Crimea in 2014 and the full invasion of Ukraine in 2022, has led to a need for a re-examination and redefinition of Norway's traditional policy towards Russia. The result has been a clear condemnation of Russian actions, joining the Western sanctions, increasing the level of defense spending within the country, and tightening security cooperation with its main NATO allies. There is also a very clear support for such a shift in the Norwegian public opinion. A poll from 2019 showed that only 38% of the population saw Russia as the main threat, while the situation changed in 2022 and now there are almost 80% that means the same.
As already mentioned, it has in the current context become impossible to pursue the traditional Norwegian policy based on a true balance between reassurance, engagement and deterrence. Still, it should remain an ideal. So our advice is that this policy should not be completely abandoned. However, it should be pursued as a part of a larger common European or transatlantic approach. A new version of a truly balanced approach can only be pursued once the war has come to an end and through a close cooperation with both the EU and NATO.
In the current situation, the continuation of this balanced policy can pose a number of challenges due to the fact that Russia has embarked on a very aggressive policy, but we still hope that a new version of the traditional Norwegian approach of balancing between engagement, reassurance and deterrence that was successful for so many years again can be pursued.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and follow us for more videos and stay tuned for the next TEPSA Explainer.